Hello, 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 and welcome to the Sprinklr Coffee Club. I'm Marshall Kirkpatrick, your host here at the Sprinklr Coffee Club. Thank you so much for joining us today. I would recommend that you pour yourself a cup of coffee. It's not required, but it can be a big help when you join us here on the Sprinklr Coffee Club for the fast-paced conversation with incredible guests that we have each week, and this week is no different. I am really excited to get to have a conversation today with our guest. Our guest today is one of the most effective enterprise influencer engagement specialists in the world. Sometimes when you do influencer marketing, influencer engagement, when you're really doing it well, you end up getting to be friends across the aisle. And sometimes you even switch places a little bit. So it's exciting for me to get to interview our guest today. He is a longtime communications professional with stints at AT&T, IBM, and I met him when he was leading the influencer program for the Alcatel-Lucent telephony API program. I am really excited to introduce my friend, Mike Maney. Mike, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, Marshall, great to be here. Getting a little bit of an echo on my side, but we'll be able to work through it. Nice to be here.
Well, Mike, your wisdom and thoughts are so good. We all want to hear them twice. So hopefully you won't mind the sound of your own voice. I know I sure don't. Mike, can we start the show out? You have done so many different things over your career and your life. Can you give us an overview of what you're doing these days, how you relate to the technology industry? Mike, we're missing your audio. Here, I will introduce you further myself. I think you might want to stick those headphones back in there if possible. All right, we are going to press pause here and get this audio situation figured out. We'll be right back. Go ahead and pour that cup of coffee if you haven't had a chance to yet, and we'll join you here in just a couple minutes. We're going to get some great highlight clips out of this, Mike.
Oh, we should have some fun with this.
For what it's worth, 95% of the viewership. All right. Welcome back. We're here with Mike Maney, ready to discuss the state of the world with regard to technology, data, startups, and so much more. Please forgive us if you're still with us after a few technical issues. We are going to continue the conversation, and I'm sure we're going to come up with some great pearls of wisdom to share out on the social web afterwards. So, Mr. Mike Maney, you were just beginning to tell us about your current station in the industry and what you're working on.
Yeah, so just killed all the echo again. I found another tab open, so I'm doing good. I'm working on helping companies tell their stories, figuring out what their messages are, and and how to tell them better to the right people. Doing a little bit of work with a 16-year-old company that has been around for a while and has never taken a dime of funding. That is being seen as an alternative to some of the bigger cloud players in the market, based out of Philly. Working with a couple of startups, one out of Austin, where Marshall and I both met years ago. Wow, how many years ago? 11, something like that.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. And some folks out of your backyard in Portland as well.
Oh, that's great. Well, Portland thanks you. So, Mike, I want to start with a big picture question prompted by your fabulous pinned tweet. I believe out on Twitter you have said that other companies may be able to replicate what you do, but what they can't replicate is why you do it. Why did you say that? What does it mean, and why is it so important to you?
Well, I said it because I've been around for a while, and to me, we got to a point where there's very little unique in tech anymore, right? It just feels that way. In the cloud, the basics that a lot of companies need are pretty much commodities at this point. Email clients all do basically the same thing. Cars, basically the same thing. And let's not get me started on scooters. What sets people apart and what makes them really stand out is no longer what they do, because others likely do the same thing. The differentiator, to use a hack marketing term, is the reason you do what you do, right? It's that backstory, and not just, we wanted to make this widget because there's a huge market and we want to be some mythical unicorn, right? And we want to make money. It's the larger personal mission behind why you did what you did, and why you built what you built. I'm working with I've just got done this morning advising a startup founder in the social services space, and he was looking for help on how to figure out what his story is, and how to communicate his vision, and his mission of helping the people that help other people, and not having to make gazillions of dollars, right? It was I just want to help people. I want to leave the world a better place. And his role was, he can do it by building better software in an industry that is just still green screens. The technology doesn't treat the humans that use the software like actual humans. It's almost mainframe like. And he kept coming back with the word beautiful, because they deserve something more beautiful. It wasn't faster or more efficient or anything like that. They deserve to be treated like humans. So that tweet always comes back, and I've left it there for a while. And you and I have been on Twitter for longer than either one of us probably want to admit. And I've left it there because it means so much. I haven't found anything in my career that reflects that kind of mission, right? About being bigger than the product that you sell. And that's tough for a lot of founders, because it forces them to take a stand and to have a point of view, right? Not to just be everything to everybody, right? It forces them to consider that larger world around them. One of the things that I like to counsel clients with, and I always leave them with this, is it'd be great to create a world of 1,000, hundreds of thousands of mini Patagonias, right? Companies like that exist, right? B Corps, right? Just a ton of B Corps. I would love it. I'm going to kill that beep if you guys are hearing it.
No, yeah, that does sound beautiful. May a million B Corps flourish. So that kind of principled take on business and that concern about social impact is something that you and I share, that we connect well around. I think the intersection of startups and data and social impact. And so that's one of the ways that you and I have been able to connect, but you're really good at connecting with all kinds of folks. And I feel like when it comes to influencer engagement and influencer marketing, you have a unique take on things. And I wonder if you could give us a high level thesis about how you think influencer engagement ought to be done.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, that it's unique, and it's I guess I don't see it, but I guess because it's just me. But I think a lot of people think the stuff that I do is rocket science, right? That what we do is rocket science, but the truth is, it's just a matter of being human, right? Of paying attention. And maybe here's where that secret sauce comes in, is having the ability to see threads other folks don't see, and then having the creativity and confidence to pull on them. It's the ability. We're here to connect people. Like, that's what, at the end of the day, it's not messaging, creating the right message or having the right story to tell. It's waking up in the morning and it's just built in of, wow, this person should talk to this person, or that person needs to know that person. I've done it for people that need to know you. Like, how does this person not know Marshall already? And just connect them and see where that goes. That's my larger outlook on life, right? That's my why, is being able to connect people and make the world a little bit smaller for folks, because you never know what's going to come out of it.
You really don't, do you?
Mm-mm.
It's fantastic.
No,
How has that changed over time? You've been doing that kind of connecting work for businesses for as long as I've known you, for more than a decade. Has that evolved over the years?
so the landscape's evolved. I don't think that the actual art of doing what I do has evolved. There's not a ton of science to it. There's one of my friends, Eric Norland, who runs the Glue conference. He used to say that I sit in this weird marketing area and PR realm of having, in between science and art, which I think is pretty accurate. But the truth is, the media landscape's been decimated, right? And by the way, I'm personally making the plea that the media landscape needs more Marshalls, old school long form Marshalls back in the day. Give us those 1,500, 2,500 word think pieces. We want them. But it's been decimated, especially in the tech space. So for me, somebody who spent the last quarter of a decade pitching reporters and finding sources for them, I sort of see everyone as an influencer now. Blogger, influencer; analyst, influencer; reporter, influencer; government official, influencer; visible and smart person in the industry, influencer. And in the cloud space, where I spend a lot of my time, and in the infrastructure space, that we have that good mix, and they all do blend. So it really does. Who they work for doesn't really matter to me anymore. It's no longer about pitching a story. It's about making sure that, going back to it, the right people are connected to the right people and are hearing the right stories. So it's the basics of, when I first started out at Ogilvy and Mather, way back in the day at 450 Park Avenue South. The basics of media relations apply with this new world of influencers. Right? You treat people like the humans that they are. Remember that Nobody's out to get you, right? The reporters are there to do a job. They want to tell a good story. Influencers want to be able to tell their people that they found something new or interesting and be smart and make other people smarter. So I'm still connecting people to good sources, and a lot of times they aren't even my client sources. That's one of the other untold secrets is when you do what I do, you need to be able to check your ego at the door, check your clients at the door, and realize that your first customer is the influencer, is the public, not necessarily your client, right? Your job is to make sure that people are getting everything that they need to make their lives easier. So I do a lot of connecting people to sources just when you see them, right? It's like, wow, that I know I know that Frederick was looking for a source on this topic. I don't have clients in that topic, but while I was watching Twitter, I noticed that my friend over here knows somebody that's doing it. Let's get them together. Sometimes it's in public, sometimes it's back channel. You just do that. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to make their jobs and their lives just a little bit easier.
Fantastic. Can you give us a sense of the scale that you're working at? How many connections are you making between your clients and influencers in a week or a month or a year? Or what does that look like?
So
Is that the right way to ask the question?
yeah, it actually is a good way to ask the question. I don't know that there's a number that I look at in terms of scale. I know that tools that you've built, stuff that you're doing at Sprinklr, your own personal history has had a huge influence on sort of how I do my job. Point blank. I mean, and
Thanks,
I
buddy.
still talk about the fact that I still talk about the fact that that you're able to source people earlier because you're able to identify not who has the most followers, right, or who's influential in terms of volume, but who are the influencers actually paying attention to. So when I talk to clients, one of the first things that I do, and one of the big things that I stick to, is we're not going to build a large media list, right? We're not going to do what everyone else does and go through and find everybody on the list that has ever covered X topic. What we're going to do is we're going to start, and a lot of times this is with startups or people that haven't done, big scale PR before, and we're going to find the 5 people that you really need to talk to, and we're going to build relationships with them. And it's about this long-term relationships. People forget this is a long game, right? It's not necessarily about the metrics, which marketing folks really hate to hear that when I say that. They're like, no, we need metrics. I'm like, there are metrics, but we're looking for trends. I'm looking for how we're moving the needle over time. And I'm looking for how we're building relationships and then nurturing them. And it's all within the orbit of the business that we're around. So I like to think of it more like family and friends, right? Not just a faceless person that I'm trying to get to do my job or carry my message. I'm trying to actually be friends with them. And I know it sounds creepy, but the reality is you want to work with the people that are, that you would want to hang out with. And some of them I might see once a year, but I respect them. I respect what they do, and I want to be able to help them.
That's wonderful. I have specific customer conversations in my mind that I'm going to follow up on with a clip of that statement right there. Really, really well articulated. And you wouldn't think it would be so unorthodox, but it really is for some reason. I want to ask about a specific industry. So you're really focused on technical companies offering APIs or data. What are some of your thoughts about how to take that kind of technical product to market?
It's changed over the years, that's for sure. It used to be everyone gets an embargo, and you do the press. Way back in the day, you'd do a press release, and you'd push everything on out, and you'd try and get as much coverage as possible, and you'd weigh your success by the number of people that covered your story. Who cares what they really said, but it was Everybody covered it. Go further back in the day, and it literally was by the weight of your clip book and how thick the clip book was. Back when we used to have to cut them out and put them on paper. But I sort of throw away that old way of doing PR. There's a, man, I don't know how old it is now, but there's a post that I did, a guest post I did, over on Tom Feremsky's blog way back in the day, where, I called it the death of the embargo. And I truly believe that there still has a little bit of a role, but 99.9% of the time, news that's embargoed it's fluff. And I think there's more of a shift, and I've taken it with a lot of my clients, of pushing for announcements to be exclusives. If you're doing your job right, if you're really good at this and you really care about the reporters and your audience, and you've targeted your announcement, that only one person can write it, because how that person writes, what they want to write about, what their interests are, that they are the absolute right person to write that story. I've done that in the past, and it's as much for the client as it is for the reporter or the influencer. I'd love to see us kill announcements altogether if we want to be really radical, which now just got me fired from any future job I'll ever have and just about every client I have. Which I know really shocking to you, because I play by the rules.
What would you replace them with, Mike?
Invite all your influencers in and brief them together. Right? Don't worry if they're reporters. Put them all on a call. The old analyst days. Just throw out all the NDA stuff, right? And see where it goes. We're not doing anything that is overly ground shaking in tech, right? Maybe rocket launches, but even then, not, it's not huge, right? I mean, it's stuff that we can expect. It's stuff that we want to just keep building on. There's enough news out there to just keep going. Not everything has to be a massive launch. And for the love of Zeus, I wish people would stop wasting money on tired Apple-like press conferences. Leave that stuff to the politicians. Everybody sees them for what they are right now, right? That's pure marketing. In the Feremsky piece that I wrote, I make a case that we should have a White House pool report. The tech industry, every company in the tech industry should have to pony up a couple of bucks, create a pool, and fund some young guns that at a journalism school that are there to cover every news announcement that comes out, all the press conference level stuff. One person's coverage of an Apple press conference is no different than anybody else's. It's all spoon fed. It's all there. And then let our veteran reporters do the heavy lifting and the reporting that needs to be done, the analysis, the stuff that I love that you used to do, right? Let them go deep. We're grooming the next generation of journalists, which is fantastic. It's good for the industry. And then the other thing is we're getting better reporting, right? We're getting better analysis. It's good for everybody. It's good for everybody except PR firms that are, that are still stuck in the past. But yeah, that's still pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome. So speaking of cultivation of the art of communication, one of your primary areas of focus in your life, I know, is photography. You're an incredible photographer. I wonder, can you tell us a little bit about anything that you have learned from the world of photography that you are able to apply to the world of tech comms, or the other way around? Anything you've learned from tech comms that has made you a better photographer?
Well, I'll start with the tech comms. My math has gotten better on f-stops and ratios and stuff like that. It used to just come natural, and now I'm getting smarter at that. So I like that part. The flip side of that, though, what photography is, and what photography and sort of the PR influencer side of my business have been, is it's humans and stories, period. Right. So photography for me is all about the faces. Hey, James, um, it's all about the humans behind, that step in front of the lens. What kind of story can I tell? What kind of emotion? In my day job, I like, it's part of looking for the backstory. How did this founder get to where they are? How did this company get to where they are? Warts and all. And it's allowed me to stay creative, to think visually, which we do as humans. We like to think visually, and think more widely about how we tell our stories. You see a lot of people get into video. Same thing. We want to be able to make that human connection between people. One of the things that I'm a huge proponent of is, I believe more companies and organizations should have resident photographers on staff, editorial photographers. Oh, there are more than enough of them out there. Again, go look at what's happened to your local. Every company should be looking at what's happened to their. You and I are gonna come up with an idea here, just so you know. So run with me on this one. If you're a company, odds are that your local newspaper, your local media outlet has been bought out by a big conglomerate or shut down, and there are journalists and photojournalists that were on staff that are now freelancing. You are crazy if you do not bring them on and bring them onto your staff and think about building out your own editorial and capturing stuff for your marketing teams, your social teams, being able to actually help people get your stories out there. Think editorially. That's free advice for you. Go do it. Save journalism. Save
Beautiful.
journalists.
Yeah, oh, I love it. I've got visions of a staff photographer running through my head right now. So we're a little past our official time, but we're ad hocing it a touch today. Do you? And I haven't asked you about this before, but I see James Governor there on your website, and a photo of him. What was it like photographing James Governor?
Easiest job in the world. Easiest job. James has character, right? James has passion. James has personality. James has a point of view, and that makes it so easy as a photographer to be able to bring that out. I mean, that's still one of my favorite images. The other part of it is just the way, with any of my images, I like to, the keepers that I keep are the ones where the eyes are just coming straight past me, right? Past the lens, past me, and straight to the rest of the viewer. Stories.
Awesome.
It's stories and connection, and that's what we should be doing as humans.
Hallelujah. There he is, James Governor, incredible analyst in the cloud and enterprise space, and a human man with a lot of character. So that's really neat to see his photo.
Great human. Yep. Monk Chips on Twitter.
That's right. Mike, I'm going to wrap us up here. Folks, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us and to stick with us. And I hope that you feel as inspired by Mr. Mike Maney here as I do. I always feel smarter after I talk to you, Mike. And I hope that you'll like and subscribe to the Sprinklr Coffee Club channel on YouTube. And Mike, where can folks connect with you on an ongoing basis?
I am constantly on Twitter at _spinmd. And you can also find some of my photography work at mikemaney.com.
Wonderful. Well, really appreciate your joining us today, Mike. It's great to keep in touch, and I will talk to you again sometime soon. Folks,
thanks a lot,
so much,
Marshall.
for joining us on
talking
Coffee
to
Club today. You too.